the strengths of Airbnb. So you can just post some of your answers in the comment section, and then we can see what everyone says, and then we'll take it from there. Then we'll do weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then we can continue. Okay, Rita Billy says cheaper than resorts and hotels. They have a global recognition. They have a good social media presence. So something that I can also add there is I said it's a cheaper alternative to resorts and hotels, just what you said. But King said it offers a unique travel experience. I agree with you. I said we have a lot of the similar stuff. I said a customized experience, which is a unique experience. I also said there's more to choose from. So if you, for instance, maybe go to a town, there's only one hotel, but there might be 5 Airbnbs, for instance. So there's more, and there's also more pricing options to choose from. So if you can't afford, like the other day I saw, it was so funny. I looked at Bilansburg accommodation, and I saw that the prices weren't that bad. It was, well, it's not that bad. I'm actually joking. The cheapest I could find was like 2,200, I think. This was already a reduced price per night. And then when I checked properly, it actually said 2,200 per person per night. So if you can't afford the 4,500 Rand per night, then Airbnb might be a very good alternative. Okay, so guys, weaknesses. What weaknesses does Airbnb have? Okay, so what is everyone else saying except Obakeng, Retabili, and Samkelu? Okay, so Obakeng says the host can charge high prices. There can be poor hosts that maintain the image of Airbnb. Samkelu says that there's no guarantee for the customer's safety. That's actually a good one. That because, yeah, what guarantee does Airbnb have that you are not, renting from a dodgy criminal, for instance, unless you maybe look at the ratings of the person and hope for the best. Okay, so guys, what I have is that weakness that I have is that you are trusting strangers with your brand. So we all know that the hosts functions underneath the Airbnb name. So Airbnb is trusting them to offer a good experience. So trusting them to keep the reputation of Airbnb itself high. but that might not always be possible. I read somewhere that Airbnb has so many different lawsuits because remember, you are essentially, Airbnb is essentially the contractor and the hosts are the subcontractors. And who's responsible? The contractor. Okay. Then the legal aspects. So and this is another weakness that they have is, for instance, I know like in certain estates, you are not allowed to have a company or you're not allowed to use your residential house as a place of business. So there might be rules against renting out your house or renting out a room, for instance. I know where we stay, they regularly check how many people go to a certain, well, they threaten us with it. I'm not sure if they actually do it. How many times does again, or like how many times is a house visited, if I can say it like that. So I mean, if someone goes to a house 10 times a day, or if a house receives 10 guests a day, it makes you wonder what is happening there. And then another one, I thought this is going to be a weakness, maybe a threat as well, is that it's easily copyable. So the idea that they have can be easily copied by someone else. Okay, opportunities. What opportunities does Airbnb have? Okay, so Rita Bile is saying that they can expand what they offer. They can introduce car rentals, travel guides. One opportunity that I really liked that they used in the case study is that they were looking at New York and why people were not really, why there weren't a lot of bookings in New York City. And then I actually realized that the pictures of the places were not very good pictures, and they actually hired a photographer to take proper pictures. And I think bookings increased of like 30% or something. And that is an additional service that they're offering to the hosts, where you can now book a photographer to come and take pictures of your house. I mean, if you guys have ever used Airbnb, most of those pictures you can see are professionally taken pictures. It's not just someone that took a Nokia 3310 and took a random picture. Okay, so what they can also do, what I have, is that they're already using it, but I also thought there was a good opportunity, is Airbnb is endorsed by a lot of celebrities, not your mainstream celebrities, more your class B type of celebrities, but people follow those celebrities on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and everything. And that is, and every time you endorse a product, you make people aware of that product. And the next time they want to book somewhere to go, they'll think of Airbnb, for instance. Okay. Then I also have under opportunities, I have a legal aspect. So I think Airbnb can work together with the zoning laws, for instance, with government to allow more of the residential areas to offer an Airbnb service. What they can also do, what I have is they can perhaps offer like a whole experience. So you'll have a host where you stay. You can maybe go to 2 restaurants close by. There's a tour that's already booked for you, for instance. So this might be a nice opportunity and an added service that you can book for if you go to a country that you maybe just don't know, you don't really want to do your research, and then they can do that as well. Okay, guys, last one, threats. What is threatening Airbnb at the moment? Okay, so guys, any threats for Airbnb that you guys can think of? Okay, so yes, Rotabili, you're correct. I also saw those. They are facing lawsuits, government regulations. I also have competitors because they don't have a very unique, they have a very unique concept, but it's very easily copyable. Okay, you can very easily copy it. So that's also a big problem that they have. Okay, so I actually want to, I think as we continue throughout the semester, we should maybe go and look at some of the lawsuits that they have, just for interest sake, to see what is happening, why are people suing Airbnb. And what I also read is not just in a particular country or in a particular town or a state, it's actually across the world. So maybe there's a trend there that we can go and maybe look at that they are busy breaking or that someone is upset about. Okay, cool. So guys, let's quickly take a 15-minute break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to look at decision trees as well as the scenarios. I'm going to give you, I'm going to maybe give this one to you guys so long so you can think of it. When we do the scenario planning, you guys know scenario planning by now. I want you to think of 3 scenarios with solutions for Airbnb. Okay, so go and start thinking of 3 scenarios. Maybe use the lawsuits that they're facing. You can also look at how can they maybe ease any restrictions on Airbnb, maybe poor hosts. So go and think of 3 scenarios, but then we also want solutions, because remember, scenario comes with a solution. We're planning for the future. Okay, so guys, quickly take a 15-minute break, and then we're going to come back, and then we'll continue with the rest of the chapter. Guys, we are going to finish this chapter today. We are not going to use the full hour, so don't worry too much. Okay, but we will definitely finish this chapter today. 15-minute break, and then come back. Okay, so guys, I hope you got something warm to drink. It's quite cold today, which is so weird for me. This weekend was nice and warm, and it's just cloudy, and I have no idea what's going on with this weather. But yeah, no, I don't know what's. I know there's a cold front in Cape Town, so maybe that cold front is busy making his way to us. I'm not sure. Okay, so guys, let's continue with what we have to do today. So the second thing, so remember, let me just quickly go here. If we look at the appropriateness of a strategy, then we have to use the SWOT matrix, decision trees, or scenarios as the test for appropriateness. So we have now looked at the SWOT matrix, and the next one is the decision tree. So guys, I'm not going to ask you to do a decision tree now, but I'm just going to explain to you what it is. And obviously, this can always come up in an assignment, a test, or an exam. So you need to know what a decision tree at least looks like. So when we look at a decision tree, this is where we are essentially dissecting a problem. So I've used a very basic one here. For instance, am I out of shampoo? It says yes or no. Okay, if I say yes, then it says, is it raining? Yes or no? Yes, it is raining. I then cannot go to the shops because it's busy raining. No, it is not raining, which means I can go to the market. Then if we look on this side, am I out of shampoo? No, I'm not, which means I don't have to go to the shops to go and buy more shampoo. So what happens with a decision tree? This is where you already predict the outcome of a decision, and this will lead to a different branch of the particular tree. So similar to what you guys did in project management. So you'll have a specific branch. So the branches are these parts here. Okay, all of these here. And then you will have nodes. So the node is that one. It will branch out to something else. And then, for instance, here can be another branch, which will have another node. So another question to answer that will branch out to something else again. So if you, for instance, look at this one, I'll just make this one a little bit bigger so that you guys can see it. So this is, for instance, an advertising campaign where we can ask the questions, are we going to use Facebook or are we going to use Instagram? So then if we're using Facebook, what is the cost of it going to be? And then from there, we can then determine the failure rate or the success rate based on Facebook, similar to Instagram on this side. So guys, the next one is scenarios. So we have already, like I said, spoken about scenario planning when I think we did it in chapter 4, when we looked at the different strategies. When we looked at strategy decision making, we already spoke about scenario planning. But with this particular, what we do here is we'll ask the what if questions. So what if this happens? How is that going to impact our strategy? How is that going to impact our company? And then what is scenario? So it can just help you to plan your business strategy by challenging your assumptions about the future. So scenario planning is essentially future planning. What I want you guys to do here for me, I've already asked you to please think of 3 scenarios for Airbnb with answers or with solutions already. Okay, so quickly, even if you guys just can think of 1 or 2, quickly post it in the comment section. Some of them, if I have to quickly think of hosts, how can we ensure that our hosts deliver a service that people expect from Airbnb, for instance, or how can we assist government with legal regulations so that more residential areas can, for instance, rent out their homes or rooms in their homes. You can also it can also be a negative one. So for instance, you can think of COVID. How will we change our business model if COVID, for instance, hits us again, or if there's a fourth wave or a fourth variant, for instance. So we have to go to the positive as well as the negative. Okay. So guys, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Quickly just pop one or two scenarios in with a quick answer, and then we will continue. Okay, so guys, let's quickly post some scenarios that we can look at that you thought of for Airbnb. Okay, sorry guys, I just quickly had to reconnect. So I just posed some scenarios for Airbnb that we can quickly look at, and then we'll just do the last few slides. Okay, guys, I hope everyone can hear me because no one is posting anything. So then let's just continue to the next slide. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the other tests that we can use to determine if the strategy is the correct strategy. And the first one, like we said, is feasibility, desirability, consistency, validity, and the attractiveness to stakeholders. So guys, the first two, feasibility and desirability, is still together with appropriateness as it was used by Thomson and Martin. And then the last three were the ones that were coined by Lynch, because Lynch essentially added three more tests that we can use to evaluate our strategies. So if we look at feasibility, can we actually, will this strategy actually help us to make a profit? Desirability, will it produce results? So is this strategy that we're using actually the correct strategy? Will it achieve the results that we are specifically looking for? Then consistency, we have to look at our strategic intent and our objectives. So where's the company going? And does the strategy that we want to use, is it consistent with where the company is actually going? Validity, and then the last one is the attractiveness to stakeholders. So we've already mentioned the attractiveness to stakeholders, that we need to make sure that it does satisfy the needs of our stakeholders. So in our customers, we'll also have to look at our competitors, the government as well, our suppliers. So the last one we're going to focus on is the attractiveness to stakeholders. So with this one, we have to ensure that the strategy is appealing to the people whose needs it have to satisfy. And remember, guys, that we are not going to satisfy everyone's needs. It's like Clover milk. Clover full cream milk is not satisfying every person's need. Some people prefer dairy bell. Some people prefer organic milk. Some people prefer low-fat milk. Others do not even like milk. Others prefer almond milk or rice milk or all those other fancy milks, for instance. But we don't have to satisfy everyone's needs. We just have to satisfy the majority of our stakeholders' needs. And that is that we have to focus on. So guys, your first ICE activity will be, although I said it was an in-class activity, remember this is when we were still planning on lecturing face-to-face last week and this week. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and select a company. Can be any company, doesn't matter. Then you have to identify the business level strategy that you believe the company is following. you have to substantiate your answer with a description of what the strategy is, as well as the advantages and the risks that are associated with that particular strategy. Then you also have to include what you think will happen to a company that does not have a strategy. So think of a company that are just selling their products, and they don't really have a strategy. They're just kind of dwindling around. So what do you think will happen to a company that just doesn't have a strategy? Remember that stuck in the middle is still a strategy. So you can't say that they'll just be stuck in the middle, because that is an actual strategy. So guys, what I've also done for you this semester, and I'm going to try and do this for every single chapter as far as I can. So I have some discussion questions for you. So obviously when I see you guys face to face, we can discuss these questions. The first one says customers are becoming more price sensitive. Most prefer the least expensive among competing alternatives. In response to the changing dynamics, organizations are competing to satisfy customers by offering cheaper commodities or cheaper products. In reference to the low-cost strategy, so we're only focusing on the low-cost strategy, evaluate the benefits of pursuing a cost leadership strategy by an organization. Then also have to also distinguish between the validity and the desirability as factors that will affect your choice of strategy, and distinguish between your business level and functional level strategies using the relevant examples. So guys, not all of these answers will actually be in your textbook. You are going to have to go and research. But at the moment, you guys, as far as I'm aware, you guys are going to do a take-home exam again at the end of the year. So remember that they can ask you any form of research question, and not all of it will necessarily be in your textbook. So you're going to have to think outside of your textbook a little bit. Remember, you guys are third years. Most of you are going to go into honors next year. And with honors, you're only going to do research. Okay. You are barely going to use your textbook essentially. So guys, please go and do the ICE activity. I will post this one now. Then we have the discussion questions. We can discuss this in the next class. And then the last one that I have is also, you can just go and think of 3 brands and then determine what strategy they're using. And we'll just quickly discuss this in the next class when I actually see you guys again. Okay, so guys, that is it for today. We are now done with chapter 8. Let me just quickly check when I am seeing you guys again. Guys, I think I'm only going to see you next week. Let me just double check. But when I see you guys again, we'll just quickly, I'm going to see you guys on Thursday. Okay, so please make sure that you've done this discussion question slide and that you've also done the after class discussion questions. We are going to discuss this on Thursday. And then after we've discussed this, we'll start with chapter 9 in your textbook. And chapter 9 deals with strategic innovation. So how can we be more innovative with our strategies and not just keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, so guys, that's all for today. I will quickly, I know I haven't posted anything about Will yet. I will post that today as well. I'll just quickly put up an announcement of what I expect of you to do on Friday. And then we'll have our own Will separate discussion on Friday's class. Okay, when will the ICE activity be completed? Good question, Kaylin. I haven't actually thought of that. Let's quickly do, today's the 10th. Can we do Friday the 20th, guys? Friday the 20th? Or Monday the 23rd? Okay, which one? Friday the 20th or Monday the 23rd? So then I can also quickly make a note. Does both work? Okay, cool. So guys, I rather prefer Monday because then at least for the students that forgot, they still have the Monday. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, so let's do Monday the 23rd of August. I'll quickly post that so long for you guys, and then you can start with that particular activity. Okay. We have an assignment week. What exactly have we done during that week? Because I see many of our assignments don't even fall. Yes. So Monique, what I'm gonna be, let me quickly think I'm gonna say this. Okay. So remember that I don't want to confuse you guys too much. Let me just quickly think it out of my head. So remember that in first semester, because some of the exams were changed to take-home exams, and not all the exams could be changed to take-home exams. So some of those modules that could not be changed, I can't even tell you which ones they are because none of my modules or all of my modules were take-home exams anyway. There are some modules, like I think like the accounting students, maybe the law students as well. So they will then write their exam. So the exams that could not be changed to take-home exams, they will then write those exams during those assessment weeks. So you guys will essentially, you won't have class during those assessment weeks. So yeah, so you guys, your assignment is only due at the end of October. So 21 October around there, and then I think 27 or 28 October. So your test is first. Your test is, I think, the 21st of October, and then assignment is either 27 or 28 October. It's around there. Remember, guys, it can still change. I don't think it will, but you know that passes do change. So yeah, so it's similar to in first semester where that first test week, remember you guys just had a week off. There were no assessments. There might be assessments with other modules. So just go and double check your other modules that you also have. You'll see on the pass, for instance, if you look at ACBPO, it's accounting. I know you guys don't have accounting, but you'll see that some of them were reweighted, for instance. So those are students that couldn't write the first semester exam. They are writing it in the assessment week. This is normally where their first test would have been, and that test is now being reweighted. Okay, I don't see anything for you guys in particular during those 2 assessment weeks. Okay, it's hard to keep up with. I have to just